Guys, Puppy's World here, once again. While he is reading this May 2017 issue of Sound and Vision, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about what I've been asked to do for some time now, and that is to review the Marantz Sr 7011 AV receiver. Now, unfortunately, I am disappointed as it has not arrived yet in the mail, and I do not have the actual receiver here yet. So doing a review on it is going to have to be broken up into several different parts. I do, however, have the Marantz Sr 7010 as my own here to kind of go off of as a base, or something to compare and contrast to, so to speak. So, let me get into the article real quick, move on here to the review, and we'll get to working. Alright guys, big box meets little speakers. The title of the Marantz Sr 7011 AV receiver review. Now I just quickly want to show you what Sound and Vision gives it. And this is why I love doing these reviews, guys, on the Marantz receiver specifically. It gets, for audio performance, now that's why I'm buying a receiver at least, 5 out of 5 stars. It is a Sound and Vision top pick, just as the Oppo UDP 203 is. I love sticking with Sound and Vision top picks, guys, as you can never go wrong with them. They do the whole test bench, you know. They operate them at about 4 ohms with 2 channels driven and pump out at, you know, a 0.1% total harmonic distortion. But they also give you a 1% total harmonic distortion, which is a little bit more or less realistic. So, I have to quickly talk about specifications, as this won't be a full-on review yet. I have to wait until I get the actual receiver here. But if you take a look at what Marantz calls a receiver, they will let you know that a 9-channel amplifier, such as the SR 7010, boasts 235 watts per channel. That is an unrealistic number, as those are always root mean squared, RMS, wattage, not maximum or peak, as that's useless and, you know, deriving. So here, let's check out the specifications for the SR 7011, as the 7010 is almost exactly the same. Okay, now we've got our specification power output at 9 by 125 watts at 8 ohms, mind you, into 2 channels driven. What they rate that as 2 channels driven here, 8 ohm loads, on a 0.1 total harmonic distortion, 138.7 watts, with 1% total harmonic distortion, 169 watts. You're always going to get a little bit higher wattage with more total harmonic distortion, mind you. And a more realistic one that we're looking at here, this is more common, 7 channels driven continuously 8 ohm loads. Guys, all your home speakers are going to be 8 ohms. I mean, you can have some Martin Logans or some Monitor Audios that are, you know, 6 or 4 ohms. I've got some Onkyo little surround speakers that operate at 6 ohms. They just make them louder that way. Less ohms, louder they sound. You know, less resistance, louder they're going to sound. Okay. As I get into here, though, it's got, you know, the Odyssey Multi-EQ XT32. Well, what's new about it is the Sub-EQ HT. That's a new thing. Okay. Video processing. It's got 4K pass-through. Of course it does, as the SR 7010 does. It's got high dynamic range 10, 4x4x4. It's got a Bluetooth 2020 in there. And then they go on to dimensions. Video inputs, HDMI 2.0B. It's got 8. Component video, 3 of them. Composite video, 4 of them. Audio inputs. Okay, it's got a coaxial digital. But we can take a look at the stuff on the back here. This is more or less specifications. I want to take a back look at it right here. There are a few differences that they changed from the 7010, which is its most, you know, renowned flagship model, which is now the 7011 flagship model. But if we take a look here and compare the two receivers, I'll show you the back of mine real quick. Pretty much the same array of inputs and outputs, except they left out no width channels. There are no wide channels on this receiver. I'm assuming that's because you can take height 1 and height 2 and kind of amp assign them into width channels, because Marantz has a wide array of different amp assignments you can give it. But I'm not sure there, as I don't have the receiver yet. So, I do know, of course, after reading the review several times and reading other reviews of this, that it's got the exact same remote as mine. So the same remote as the SR 7010. You know, it's got a remote backlit like that. You can press a little button. Very nice. But I wanted to quickly show you what they kind of say about it near the conclusion, more or less. And that kind of ends the article on it. But the Marantz SR 711 is as smart as a receiver gets. It has little extra power for slightly challenging speakers and has been tweaked by people with good ears. The video feature set is comprehensive. On the audio side, the only thing missing is PC via USB connection. Damn, man, I can't believe they left that out of there. It's a common thing that I use on my Pioneer, N50 media player. Guys, that is a common connection where I use a USB port out of my computer going into it digital USB. Only they lack that on here. As what you'd be looking for is that square port of USB. I believe it's type, no, it's not type A, because type A is your normal, USB port looking like, well, where's one on here? And I'm going to have to show you one on the front of this. So, I believe type A is looking like that. You're looking for the square, the actual square that goes into a digital USB cable. So, don't have that on board. Got the heos angle, though. That's the main difference between the two receivers, guys. One other thing I actually noticed, they give you the price here at $2,199. But at a glance, it's 9 amp channels, which, well, they say 9 amps on the 7010 as well. And then 11.2 processing with an outboard power amplifier, of course. However, the main differences here, we'll kind of look at what they give at a glance. For 9 amp channels, heos, multi-room compatibility, that's the big jump for this guy. And then Odyssey ISF, Control 4, and Crestron. Minus no PC-friendly USB jack. I would really, what they're doing and why they've done that, I think, is they're thinking that more people are connecting wirelessly now than ever. So they're using their wireless access points, as of course, it will do, 4K pass-through and all that. But digital direct streaming, I see actually no Spotify Connect feature on here. And the way I can kind of verify that is, look, music services available through the heos app include Pandora, Amazon Prime Music, Deezer, Napster, SoundCloud, Tidal, Moodmix, iHeartRadio, SiriusXM, and TuneIn Radio. I don't see any Spotify Connect. Now, that might mean that it has a separate Spotify option on it or input, but damn, if they don't have that on this guy, they left a major capability flawed through it, Both receivers will pass through 4K, at 60p and all that. But the high-resolution audio addicts can access lossless, FLAC wave files of 92 kilohertz, 24 bits, as well as DSD as both 2.8 and 5 gigahertz. So, megahertz, I'm sorry. So, they're operating both on your Wi-Fi frequencies like that, so same as the 7010. But the 2.0B and HDCPT 2.2 DRM are new, too. The Ace the Copyright Handshake. That's going to be what this guy will do. I think that the 7010 does not. Dolby Vision will follow in a future firmware update. I'm not sure, guys, as I cannot tell you if the 7010 is allowing a Dolby Vision upgrade in the future, as I would certainly hope it does. But yeah, your flagship receiver bucks by a few extra connectivity necessities. One now rare feature is a set of 7.1 channel analog inputs to bypass the HDMI audio connection, either because you have classic multi-channel source component or because you want to use the exotic DAC in a newer one. A phono input is also provided, I would hope so. Speaker terminals and pre-outs both cover 11.1 plus extra sub-connectivity for RO3D, or switching between 5.1.4 and 7.1.2 configurations, rear height versus rear surround, without a cable swap. Associated equipment included, 5 Paradigm Reference Studio. That's just what he's testing it with. He's using, of course, an Oppo BDP83 Universal Disc Player. He's got that Shure cartridge on there. A Denon stereo preamp. All movie demos were done on Blu-ray with Dolby Atmos soundtracks that I ran on a 5.1.4 configuration. So that's that's Mark Fleischman talking about what he used as his equipment in his home. You can kind of compare that to your own. But yes, they both have the Oro 3D upgrade. for a 9.1 channel aural setup is somewhat different than what common, more widely used Dolby and TTS immersive formats. Compatibility settings are included. You'll need an outboard amp to fulfill the receiver's full 10.1 audio or aural or 11.1 Atmos TTS X potential. As with prior Marantz and 10 and AV receivers, Aural 3D requires a $199 firmware upgrade. I've done that on this, guys. That update is pretty damn good, though, unless you're not using height in-ceiling channel speakers. I have not utilized them yet in this room. I've used them in my theater room, as they are amazing. I've brought this guy down in the theater room, of course. He's amazing. But if you're not using height channels or in-ceiling speakers, I would not necessarily recommend doing the $200 Aural 3D upgrade like that. When we kind of look at the test bench here, I think that's what's kind of most important to me in the audio. This graph shows the 7011's left channel from CD input to speaker output with two channels driving 8 ohm loads. Measurements for total harmonic distortion plus noise, crosstalk, signal-to-noise ratio, and analog-digital frequency response were all well within expected performance parameters. Full details available at soundenvision.com. I gotta say, guys, I would agree with the ratings here. They gave it audio performance 5 out of 5 stars. Features 4.5 out of 5. Ergonomics, well, that one suffered a little bit, but, value 4 out of 5 stars. I would agree. I have to say, though, I am probably happier with the 7010 than the 7011, as same onboard, power supply and all that, same processing, except you got HDCP 2.2 DRM here. I'm not sure what the HDMI 2.0B would be as opposed to HDMI 2.0, but I think that's gonna downplay some of the copyright problems you've got with putting in Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays and either hearing no audio or having no video pass through. You just need to make sure, guys, that you've got HDMI 2.0 cable, 4K Blu-ray player, 4K Blu-ray disc, and what is most important in that connection, 4K television with high dynamic range. If you do not have a 4K television with high dynamic range or that audio return channel, don't bother using the audio return channel HDMI hookup on these guys. They screw everything up with inputs and all that. They cross-talk to the TV and whatnot and try to maximize your experience in terms of input switching capabilities and all that. It really creates a headache, honestly. I'm screwing around with this TV all the time. That's why I actually prefer using my Epson projector. Because this TV all the time, I have literally deleted the inputs on it, and it'll still do frickin' HDMI 3 and sit there with no, screen on it and stuff. So, I've got to say, guys, I had to do this guy justice, as I'll kind of compare you the back of mine real quick. Little low for light, I know. But here's the back of mine, and they kind of they took away these extra speaker ports right here. They took these guys away. I know it's a little hard to see with light. But they took those guys away and just have the height channels on there. So as you can see, a little bit of a very, very, very similar background. Very similar, back displays of those guys. But, they got to be pretty comparable devices. Okay, guys, I will be back with a second full-on review, hands-on comparison, actually, when this guy arrives, and we'll be using the same hookup, same cables and all that, same speakers, SVS, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. This was my SR7011 review from Marantz, doing sound and business justice. Thank you, guys. Please subscribe.